King in Jesus Christ. I'll have you know. And that is from people across the world. And we got the video we saw this morning, 1,000 tongues to sing. It's the face of Christianity. It looks like that because it's across the face of the globe. All people everywhere call Jesus their Savior. All people everywhere call God their Father. And we can give thanks. But that's the big story. The story today is about a woman who helped Israel. Her name was Rahab, and she was a whore. And she lived in the city of Jericho. And people, and one day Joshua sent 2 spies into Jericho to figure out what the city was like for the purpose of doing war, for doing battle. And so these 2 men went in there. And they did what most spies do. They go where everybody congregates. They go where everybody talks about what's going on, talks about what they're not supposed to be talking about. And so they went to a woman who was a prostitute because she probably knew the secrets of everybody in town, and they figured she'd tell them those. And men from that city saw the 2 spies go into her house, and so they went to get them because they knew that they were from these Hebrew tribes that had been wandering around Sinai for 40 years, and these tribes by now had conquered many armies that had gone out to fight with them, and they were afraid. And so they, the people in that city wanted to capture them because they didn't want them to go back to the Hebrews and tell them what it was like, because they feared that the Hebrews would take Jericho for themselves. And so they went to Rahab's house, but Rahab had hid those men up on the rooftop underneath the grass that they put on their roofs to keep them, or the sticks that they put on their roof to keep them from, because that's how they made their roofs. And so the men of that city didn't find them, and when they came down, they said that they would reward her. And the deal was that if she would not tell the people in that city where the spies were with them, where the spies had gone, and if she would tie a scarlet ribbon from her window, that when the Hebrew people sacked the city, that they would spare her and all the people in her household. And they told her that if you wander out of the house, if your family wanders out of the house, then that's on them. But if they stay in the house, we will protect them. And if anything happens to them in that place, then that's on us. And so Rahab keeps her promise. She advises them to go hide in the hills, and they hide in the hills. And after 3 days, the men from the city that went out to look for them come back, and they said they couldn't find them. And they went on to the camps. And they told Joshua what it was like, and they laid out a battle plan. And so that's what they did. And then they get ready to go to the Jordan. They go to the city and take it. And that's when they cross the Jordan that we talked about last time. And after they had finished crossing the Jordan, the Lord said to Joshua, choose 12 men from among the people, and they did. And there was one appointed from each tribe. so they go on. I've got to find a spot here. With their army. Well, I just have to remember it. And they come up to a man, and he has a sword outstretched. And man tells them, I don't care what your battle plan is. Forget about it. He says, this is what you are to do. And he said, you're to walk around the city once every day for 6 days. And on the 7th day, you're to get up and walk around the city 7 times. And after the 7th time, you'll blow your horn. And then the walls of the city will fall down. And you'll rush in and kill the people in the city and take the loot for yourself. And that was what this man told them. And they knew that this was a man of God. Do you know who this man was? It was God's messenger, angel, Gabriel. God had sent his angel to give the battle plan. Forget the plan you have and follow the plan that God gives you. And that's what God did. And what's amazing is they went up to Jericho and they camped outside of the city. And for 6 days they marched around the city. On the 7th day they marched around the city 7 times, blew their horns, and the walls fell down. Now let me ask you a question. If you've served in the military and somebody gave you a plan like that, would you follow it? That's crazy. That is crazy.
Unless he outranked the other officers, then he would.
Yeah, I'm sure not every private in his class was thought that their general knew what he was doing. But that's the way God works. And so the walls fall down, the city is sacked. Rahab's section of the wall where her house is the only part of the wall that still stands. Her family's saved. They take them, they put them outside the Israelite camp. Eventually she marries an Israelite man from the house of Judah, and she's the great-great-great-great-grandmother of Jesus Christ. So what this lesson is about it's about faith. It's about having faith in God and doing what God asks, even though it doesn't feel like his request is reasonable. It doesn't feel like his request is going to make a difference in our lives. And that's the lesson. This is a lesson about faith. It's a lesson about having faith in God. And granted, we're probably never going to have an occasion where this makes a lot of sense to us. We're probably never going to see the angel Gabriel. But God sends messengers to us. And he tells us things to do. And it doesn't feel like the messengers tell us things to do, and it doesn't feel like that messenger knows what he's talking about. But he does. But he's not. It's not his message. That's the thing you have to understand. It's God's message. He's just he's just giving you information that God has given to him. And that's where we get in trouble. Do you have something to say?
How do you know when it's the message that you're receiving is not your own desire and it's actually from him?
Well, I'm talking about getting messages from other people, not messages where God leads your heart in a certain way. And we know those people that have good intent for our lives, and we know those people in our lives that are godly. And we know that we're brothers and sisters in Christ, and we know we should listen to each other. So, I know y'all had a conversation this last week, and somebody made this statement. If somebody with 20 years of sobriety told you to go stand on your head, and you'd be sober, would you do it? Did y'all have this conversation?
Run it by me again.
If somebody with 20 years of sobriety said to a newcomer, if you go and stand on your head, would you do that so that you would be sober?
Probably not.
Yeah. So this is where we run into trouble. So we don't listen to the people who've been down the road before. If somebody that'd been down that road before said, read your Bible, pray, fellowship with other people in recovery, serve your brothers in need, and you'll stay sober, and you'll stay in relationship with God. Would you do that? Now, I have to tell you, those things aren't a magic pill. They're not going to make your life instantly better. They're not going to solve all your problems. They're not going to make your emotions settle down and rejoice and be glad. But they work. But for them to work, you have to have faith in the message. You have to have faith in the messenger. But most of it, you have to have faith in the God that sent the message. And so, the lesson today is about having faith in God. You see, Rahab was spared. Her brothers, her sisters, her mother, her father, they were all spared because she tied a red ribbon to her window because she had faith. Now, how is that red ribbon going to keep that wall from falling down? God kept the wall from falling down right there where she was at. The armies of the Israelis had faith that God would deliver them. How does blowing that horn make a wall fall down? How does marching around an area make a wall fall down? It doesn't. But God does. So the question you have to ask yourself is, how does staying sober, how does living a spiritual life keep you sober? Well, on the surface it doesn't. But the God who you are in a relationship with does. will bless you. He will walk with you. He will protect you. But you have to have faith that He will do that. You have to be obedient to what He asked you to do. And if you're obedient, see, obedience isn't about being disciplined. Obedience to God is not about being disciplined. Obedience to God is about having faith. Obedience to God is about saying, I believe in God, and I believe He has control over all of the universe. Therefore, I will follow Him wherever He takes me and whatever He asks me to do. John Wesley used to say, put me to working, or leave me stay idle, whatever pleases you. So sometimes following means standing still. Sometimes following means being in prayer and meditation for a very long time. And that may be the very last thing in the world we like to do or want to do. But sometimes that's what it means. You see, I see Jimmy, and I see him, and I see the success in his sobriety, and I'm reminded what obedience to God did for him and continues to do for him. And I'm aware that obedience to God can do the same thing for you. But you have to have faith. You have to have faith that through your obedience you will demonstrate your faith. And in that faith, God will protect you and take care of you. And the walls that stand in the way of progress will come tumbling down. May God add His blessing to the thoughts that I have expressed on His Word today.